The ECOWAS standby forces are also prepping up to move into that country and restore peace after we saw on Sunday what has become a major shocker for that country, and President Talon and the rest are making effort in stabilizing that country. But what is the implication for Nigeria as a country that not only by population but by military power and capacity and of course economic prowess, Nigeria is a major force on the continent. Let's look at the legality, the actions of President Bola Tinubu, and I'll be speaking tonight with our former president of the African Bar Association, a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, who is live for us virtually from Lagos. Thank you so much, Mr. Falana, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean.
It looks like your background shows as though you are in a beach enjoying your time. December is here, and dirty December, you know the location is in Lagos. So I hope that you're not on some Epstein island or some. But it's good to see you, Mr. Falana. It's not a funny matter, and it's not a joke at all. When we're seeing this kind of scenario, nothing less than 4 countries on the West African region are now on the military takeover, military rule. We've seen Chad, we've seen Niger, we've seen Equatorial Guinea, we've seen Guinea-Bissau, and we're now seeing a situation in Benin Republic. And there are rumors that has happened also about Nigeria and the attempted coup, and some soldiers that are now in custody for investigation. But legally speaking, there are those who will say it does look like the president had acted before the request. Does the law permit him? Do we have the powers to be able to send troops on the ground? Is it for peace mission or what? Or what we're showing military power? What exactly do you make of this, legally speaking, of course?
Well, I think there are 2 issues here. Whereas the Constitution has empowered the president to seek the consent of the Senate before declaring a war against any country. But what we are being told now is that this is a peace mission in line with the protocol on democracy and good governance, ECOWAS. Even at that, Section 12 of the Constitution equally requires the president to seek the authorization of the National Assembly to have any agreement domesticated. But I think what has happened here is a situation whereby it may be argued that the events in Benin Republic have implications for the security of Nigeria, and therefore Nigeria will intervene. But there are moral problems, very serious moral and political problems. Yes, whereas the Senate has ratified the intervention of Nigeria in Benin Republic last Sunday, and according to the Senate, to promote peace in that country. Can you promote peace without justice? And we had a meeting in Ghana last Saturday, where Falana was celebrating Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers, a former president of the ECOWAS Commission. Make the point that apart from Cape Verde and Senegal, that have not experienced any coup in West Africa, Ghana has joined the League of Stable Democracies, in the few stable democracies in the region. Now, for others, we have serious problems. Therefore, if you are going to help another country to stabilize, you must ensure that democracy in your own country is institutionalized. What is going on in West Africa today? It's not just enough for the Senate to vote. As the member still today, would not analyze what happened in the Republic, an otherwise stable country. How did that country experience a coup in 2024 and a coup in 2025? Is that can Nigeria really stop coups in any of these neighboring countries, even in Nigeria? Because in October this year, there was an attempted coup. In Sierra Leone, in December 2023, there was an attempted coup. Today, Guinea-Conakry, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are under the jump, under military jump. Now, on Saturday, we did predict in Accra that some of the countries were likely to collapse. The rickety democratic systems in these countries might collapse. And I mentioned Benin Republic, where all the opposition figures are either in jail, in exile, or in their graves. In Togo since 1963, has had two presidents, Eyadema the first, Eyadema the second. In July this year, 4 Eyadema or Nasibe amended the constitution of that country and removed time limit completely, no limitation as to how long he can be in power. His father was in power between 1963 and 2005. He has been in power since 2005 for 20 years. He has now amended the constitution to allow him to remain in power indefinitely. The guy in Cote d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, at the age of 83, has just been sworn in for a 4th term. He manipulated the constitution of that country to have himself in power for a 4th term, not just a 3rd term, 4th. Now, what did he do? He jailed his opponents and banned them from contesting elections with him. This is the picture. So Nigeria clearly has his job cut out for it. If you want to stop coups, you must ensure that you allow political pluralism in Nigeria. You cannot have a situation where the country is moving inexorably to becoming a one-party state. And you want to export democracy as it were. There are problems. So Nigeria has to put its house in order by allowing political pluralism. You must allow the opposition to be able to contest election in a credible manner. And this is a problem in Africa today, whereby the ruling parties, directly or indirectly, ban opposition political parties, render them impotent, so that they cannot challenge you. You know what has just happened in Tanzania, where Madam Hassan charged the opposition leader with treason to have an election. In Uganda, Museveni, who has been in power since 1986, decided to abduct the opposition leader, in Nairobi, and have him driven recklessly to Kampala, where he was charged before a military tribunal.
Let me jump in quickly. Are you worried? Are you afraid that this attempt in Benin Republic in terms of military action or military coup may not be the last.
No, it won't be the last. I'm familiar with the political terrain. And I'm telling you, once you put your opposition leaders in jail, you spend them on exile, or you kill them. You cannot have political stability. And that's what is going on in Benin. Patrice Talon has driven opposition completely out of the political.
But is there any similarity to what is happening in Nigeria, Mr. Falana? Is there a similarity of that situation in Benin Republic or other countries where we are seeing military intervention, which brings you to the to the conclusion or to the inference that whatever that is happening in other West African region or countries is imminent in our country? Is Nigeria in the danger of a military coup? God forbid.
So I will answer your question this. Nigeria has a challenge more than any of these countries to stabilize the region. And to do that effectively, as Nigeria has done in the past, whether, you want to talk about Sierra Leone and Liberia, where Nigeria contributed immensely to restore democracy in those two countries, or even in the Gambia, again, where Nigeria in 2017 intervened and ensure that Yaya Jada was treated like a bull in a China's shop. Now, even currently, there's a new system, a dangerous precedent in Africa, whereby President Umaru Mbalo thought that he was losing election in Guinea-Bissau. What did he do? He called his friends in the military wing of his political party, to take over, to sack him, to take over power. Now, in the case of right now, the opposition leader in that country, Frederick Da Costa, is currently hauled up in the embassy in that country. And Nigeria has insisted his life must be preserved. But we are insisting that the result of the election that have been concluded, according to former President Jonathan, must be released. The report must be released. In case of Nigeria, because we are part of the region, the military guys meet regularly in classes, in conferences, and whenever they discover that the economy is in a bad shape, because the civilian governments, all of them, including Nigeria, implementing neoliberal policies dictated by the South Africa. And so the people are unhappy. All saved Patrice Talon for now. But people are not trooped to the street yet. That's Sunday morning. It will be difficult for French troops and Nigerian troops to stop the coup. Whereas in the case of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, even Guinea, people took to the streets to welcome the political opportunists in uniform. So if we want to have political stability in Nigeria, you want to address the crisis of the economy. You must address poverty. You must address illiteracy. You must address insecurity of life and property. Two, you must show that the political space will not shrink as it is now. You have a shrinking of the political space. That must stop. There must be freedom of expression. You can be charging people with all manners of offenses for expressing their views about the affairs of our country. And more importantly, INEC must open the political space and allow ideological-based political parties to be registered and challenge the status quo. Right now, the INEC is not prepared.
Mr. Falana,
to open the political.
let me quickly jump in.
Yes.
I'm wondering, and that those who also be asking the question, why is President Tinubu more interested in Benin Republic situation than he is in other coup situation? Guinea-Bissau, for example, did the president deploy troops there? In Chad or whatever, Niger or whatever other countries there is experiencing some kind of unrest or the other, did we take the kind of action that the president that had to now deploy military troops and boots on the ground in that country? Why is Benin Republic so much of a concern for this administration and President Bola Tinubu in particular?
You know, this is not the first time it has happened. In 2003, the Prime Minister of Sao Tome and Principe, Mr. Frederick Menezes, was visiting Nigeria. President Obasanjo was in charge. He was in Abuja when there was an announcement of a coup in that country. President Obasanjo, not the coup leader. You had better hand over and disappear from the presidential villa. Otherwise, I will send a battalion, just a battalion, to remove you and other rascals from power. Of course, they had to leave because of the fear that Nigeria might invade that country. In the case, of course, you are aware of Sierra Leone and Liberia. President Chancellor was brought to Nigeria before he was handed over to the Special Court for Sierra Leone. Tanko, was brought to Abuja. So, and Nigeria has been playing this role. In 2017, Nigeria immediately took out, the opposition leader who had won the election, Adama Barrow. Otherwise, Yaya Jammeh would have killed them. So we've intervened in all cases where that we could. But what has happened, like I said, Benin is different from Niger, different from Burkina Faso, different from Mali. Once the people troop out, it's difficult for an invader, any country to invade it, because you have to fight the people who were on the street, not just the coup plotters who were isolated on Sunday. So you need to study what happened on Sunday. The guys went too early to the radio station. They hadn't captured anywhere, even the presidential villa that they attacked. So that was what happened. If it were the other way around, you can be very sure Beninite people will have to the street. In the case of Niger, in the case of Burkina Faso, in the case of Mali, people are on the street. People are protest against any invasion. So it's dangerous. And the challenge before civilian government, democratic government, is to ensure that we do not play into the hands of military opportunities who are waiting in the wings. To take advantage of mass discontent, mass disenchantment, to take over power.
All right. Thank you so much. Mr. Femi Falana, former president of the African Bar Association and senior advocate of Nigeria. Former president of the, yeah, that's what I said.
West African
Bar Association, sorry. And senior advocate of Nigeria. Thanks so much indeed, Mr. Falana. And enjoy your time on that lovely beach, except if it's virtual. Is that virtual or something? I guess it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.